brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's the Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm Ramsey personality George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw this hour. The number to call is 888-825-5225. You call in, we'll talk about your life and your money. And if I feel spirited today, it's because I am, Jade, because we have an electric crowd that's here for our Total Money Makeover weekend.
Yay.
What feels like hundreds of people out in the lobby right now.
I think it is hundreds.
Preparing for a wonderful weekend, growing, learning about money, getting motivated, and getting fired up. It's good to be with people.
That's right. I know that's right. It's about to be a pep rally up in here.
Well, let's kick it off with Joe in Newark, New Jersey. Joe, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, George. Hi, Jade. I'm graduated high school in 1994. I went to a Christian high school. It was a private high school. And while going there, they introduced us to FPU, and we went through some of that, those courses and things like that. And I put that into my life, and I did pretty well for myself. I'm now 48. My wife's 49. And we have a family business now. And we have a very high net worth. We have no debt, multiple properties, and we don't really work. We're financially independent. We're comfortable. My question is, our son, we only have one child. He is 14, and he is in ninth grade. We are considering pulling him out of school and letting him get his GED to fast track him into our family business and kind of bringing him in more into what's going on so that he can be more involved in preserving our, let's call it generational wealth. Not like he'll have any say. We have a trust and all that stuff. But for now, it just seems like we're not getting the most. Like, I don't know at what point should he keep going to school. Like, what's the point? We're not seeing it, but if we're being kind of like out of touch by thinking that, we're just wondering some perspective that's maybe faith-based on what we're asking.
Well, the biggest thing I hear is it kind of, and I'm not trying to overstep, but in many ways it kind of sounds like you're predetermining his path in life. You're saying, hey, it's not worth it for you to get your education, son, because you are going to run the family business. And there's a very good chance that, well, number one, it's putting the pressure and stress on him now at ninth grade to kind of say, like, this is my future, whether I like it or not. And listen, you might be seeing him say, hey, I do want to do this, or I'm interested in that. But at ninth grade, he really doesn't know. So the reasoning that I would say not to do this, and at the very least let this guy finish out and graduate high school, is because you don't know what he's going to want to do in the future. You don't know that this is the career path he wants. He might get into it and be like, I don't like this, and you don't want him to turn around and have any kind of resentment or contention because of the way that you guys pulled him out of school early and kind of stunted that ability for him to really explore and see what he wants to do.
Sure. Okay.
My overall thinking is this man's not even done with puberty.
Yeah.
Do we really need to be throwing him into this, family business at this stage? He's probably just, the guy wants to get his first girlfriend at this point. And so I feel like we should let him be a teenager, let him be a kid.
Let him grow a mustache.
Let him experience, high school. And guess what? The family business is still going to be there 3 years from now when he's graduating.
Right.
And then he can make a choice. Hey, do you want to go to college? Do you want to take over the business? And let him explore. Mm-hmm. Most 24-year-olds don't know what they want to do with their life, let alone a 14-year-old.
So true.
So I don't want to fast track that to Jade's point, and then he's resentful at 30 going, I didn't even get a choice, man. It was like golden handcuffs to take over this business. So, and like Dave has said with family business, you want them to feel called to it. And Daniel, his son, went through high school, went to college, graduated, and then when he felt called, he showed up. And it was on his volition versus dad saying, hey, kid, I'm going to pull you out of school. You're going to be a part of the Ramsey organization and take over. But now that it's his choice, it's a very different mentality and work ethic versus getting dragged into it.
And there's probably a way that you could, if you wanted to give him some exposure to what it is that you guys do all day, to what the values of the company are, like there's probably ways that you could build that in, like Rachel says, more is caught than taught. So if you're talking about it at home, every once in a while he's showing up with you on a Saturday, or you're talking about the things that you're working on, you're talking about the things that you do, what the business does. I think that he is going to understand that, okay, this is what my family does. This is how we work. This is what we're about. And I don't think that at any point that requires pulling him out of high school.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Definitely a lot to consider. I see the value in what you're saying.
Listen, I'm going to flat out tell you, don't do it. I mean, I hope you don't do it.
I'm 50-50 on it. It's like, it's like when he has a day at school and one of the teachers is kind of in the weeds and being silly about things. In my heart, in my mind, I'm like, we're kind of past that. We don't really need to deal with that. That doesn't apply to us. But that's kind of like the snotty side, and I don't want him playing that card. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have to do, like, there's some truth to that, but at the same time, like, you have to be a good person overall, and sometimes you do have to go through, you have to be exposed to different challenges to make you a complete person, right?
Sure.
So if you're too sheltered, you'll be a spoiled brat. So you don't want that either for your child or children.
Like, if you're talking about what's going on, like the educational situation where he goes to school, if you don't like that, like, that's a completely separate issue. If you're saying, hey, maybe this is not the right environment for him to have high school, then there's options there, whether it's homeschool or online school or a different school or a private school. Like, there's a lot of options there. But I don't want to confuse the two topics. I definitely, so that's a different thing.
What does he think about this, Joe, when you ask him about it?
He's very opinionated, so he likes. He knows kind of what we do and the velocity of at what we do it and things like that. And he thinks to himself, "Why am I here? Why am I going to school? This is dumb. If I'm just gonna, inherit the keys to the kingdom," like, he doesn't say it like that, but he kind of has like a spoiled brat attitude towards it. So, like.
Well, that's one reason to put pause on this whole thing. Correct.
I want to put him in military school and say, I'll see you in 4 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, but then sometimes he's really pleasant. He's like, I get it. I'm doing my best. And it's like,
I feel like there's two issues we're talking about here. I feel like the first thing you called in was, we need somebody to pick up the family business. Now's the time for him to get the training now. But I feel like now we've shifted into, he doesn't want to be at school, but I think he should be somewhere because he's kind of starting to show these spoiled tendencies. I think there's two separate issues that need to be worked on. One is, he's in 9th grade. Figure out what the best, school option is for him and what the best discipline is for him. And then as for the business, who's going to take on and carry that business on? That's a completely different conversation. And I can tell you, it's not your 9th grader.
And you got to remind him, listen, if you're going to be a part of this, you got to work twice as hard as everyone else. It's got your last name attached to it. That's how Dave sees this. And if he's got that entitlement, he's not going to be a part of the business until he's emotionally ready. And we're talking about a 14-year-old. He shouldn't be emotionally ready. Let him grow. Let him make the choice later on. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, it's Rachel Cruz here to tell you about a faith-based alternative to health insurance that can make healthcare more affordable. Christian Healthcare Ministries. CHM allows members to share each other's healthcare costs, and it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1, choose the healthcare provider you want. Step 2, submit your eligible bills. And Step 3, get reimbursed. CHM members take care of your eligible medical bills. With no networks and the freedom to choose your healthcare provider, CHM is the best option for Christians who want to take care of their families and help other believers. Find out more at chministries.org/budget.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You jump in, we'll talk about your life and your money. Well, it's graduation season, and the grad in your life has now spent more than 4,300 hours in class. And the sad part is, I'm guessing nobody taught them how to handle money. That's unfortunate. So before you stick a crisp $100 bill inside that graduation card, why not give them the tools you wish someone had given you? And we've got you covered in the Ramsey store. We get gifts for teaching a grad about money. Of course, the Total Money Makeover, Dave's best-selling book. It's helped more than 10 million people get out of debt and build wealth. And yours truly, my book, Breaking Free from Broke, a #1 bestseller, exposes all the money myths and traps that those grads are about to experience, and it'll help them avoid that and build wealth in spite of all of it. And if they're looking to, help on their job search, Ken Coleman's got a brand new book called Find the Work You're Wired to Do, which includes his Get Clear career assessment. It's going to show them what they're good at, enjoy, and help narrow down the job search. So get the perfect grad gifts right now. RamseySolutions.com/store is your one-stop shop. Andrew's up next in Toledo, Ohio. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for taking my call.
Sure.
So I'm going through a major life change, going through a separation. And once everything is said and done, I'm only going to have a car payment. And once the proceeds of everything are separated, I'm going to have a significant amount of money. It's not, like millions, but upwards of 80,000. And I'm just curious how I can best set myself up for the future.
Wow. How recent was this?
That I've been put in. Within the last 2 months.
Wow. Is it finalized or is it still processing?
It is processing. The paperwork has been signed, just waiting to go in front of the judge.
Okay.
So you'll get $80K out of this, but you'll have the car and the car payment. What's going to be your living situation?
So I'm going to be moving in with my father temporarily.
Okay. And then until you kind of get your footing and find where you want to live?
Yeah, I'm just not trying to make any rash decisions and, rush out and buy a house or go and get an apartment to rent. I don't want to rent anything because that's like throwing your money away.
Well, we can talk about that. How old are you?
Jinx, you'll make up.
36.
36. Okay. Well, you're restarting your new life, new chapter. It's a clean slate, and part of that clean slate means we're going to become debt-free and stay debt-free for the rest of our life. So that's the good news.
So
what's left on the car loan?
Was, so I had to refinance it out of her name so that she could get pre-approved for a house. And I think it's under $12,000.
Okay. And what's your income?
So my income last year was about 46 before deductions. My income is inconsistent. I'm a real estate agent.
Got it. Okay. Well, you're going to be able to easily pay off that car loan as soon as you get that $80K cleared, and it's still going to leave you with 68.
Yeah.
So that's going to become your fully funded emergency fund, which right now you don't have a lot of expenses, but you soon will as you step out and begin to rent. And so I would put away 6 months of expenses, and then the rest becomes maybe your new home down payment fund.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And begin stacking money on top of that. You can store it in a high yield savings account. It'll grow at about 4 or 5+% right now, and just diligently put money away. You got very little living expenses living with your dad, and so I would take advantage of this season as sort of a temporary launch pad for you. But I would not have it become a hammock where you get too comfortable and you're like, well, it's nice not having bills. Yeah. I want you to get back out there because you need to get your mojo back after getting knocked out like this.
Are there children?
Yes, there are 2 children.
Okay. What's the custody situation?
So it'll be shared.
Okay. And is there child support, alimony?
Well, no, there's none of that as long as everything is approved by the judge.
Okay.
So does that mean that you and her have just decided that you're both kicking in, or what does that mean?
Well, I'm sorry, what do you mean by that?
Like, have you guys decided your own method for splitting the costs that it's going to take to raise these kids? Or what does that mean specifically?
Yes. So we've gone the route of dissolution rather than divorce. It's just not as common for people to know what a dissolution is. Basically, we've decided we've come to our own terms on everything, and it just has to be approved by the judge.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. For me, I think with the kids, I don't know their ages. I'd probably, I like your idea of kind of getting somewhere and getting your bearings, but I'd definitely be looking towards figuring out a place that's yours, that the kids can get used to, and kind of creating some normalcy in this situation.
Some stability.
Sooner than later, I would say.
Okay.
Are the kids going to stay with you half the time?
Yes. So it'll be a 50-50 week on, week off.
And right now it'd be staying at grandpa's?
Yes, when they're with me, yes.
Okay.
My father does have a very decent-sized home, so the kids will have their own space. I mean, we're all going to have our own rooms.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
okay.
So it's temporary. My daughter is a little bit older. She is probably primarily going to stay with her mother because of where she intends to go to school. She's doing college classes.
Okay.
So she's kind of just going to come and go as she pleases. We've already had that conversation. It'll mostly just be my son.
Okay. Well, the other piece to think about here is how can we increase your income in order to be able to afford rent with multiple bedrooms and all of that. And so that would be my next step as a real estate agent. Go, what do I need to do to get some more clients, even in this market? Do I need a side hustle right now to supplement until things pick back up? So that would be my next step as you knock out the debt and begin to save up for the down payment.
And begin having those conversations about how you guys are planning to help out with college as those things come on the forefront.
Don't let any assumptions happen.
Yeah, make
we
those
know what happens there.
expectations clear.
JC's up next in New York City. What's going on, JC?
Hey, Jane and George. Thank you for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
Sure. My wife and I actually yesterday finished baby step 2. 13 months, we paid off over $144,000.
Way to go.
Amazing.
I just raised the roof on your behalf.
You're just fully raised now.
Thank you very much.
I couldn't reach the roof, but I would have if I could have.
Yeah, she brought a book home 13 and a half months ago. I picked it up, read it, and I said, we're doing this. But
let's go.
Anyway,
proud of you guys.
Yeah. Thank you. My question is this. We'll have a fully funded emergency fund by October 1st. We want to do 6 months. At that point, we understand it's 15% in baby step 4 of our total combined household income. Where I have a little bit of confusion is, should I be factoring, because I also do like an HSA and stuff, should that be in part of the 15% or should that be separate?
I wouldn't start with the HSA. I would, with the 15%, first of all, I do it off your gross numbers, and I would start with whatever employee-based plan you have. So whether it's a 401k or a 403b, if you have a match there, I would start with the match. And if you don't have a match, then I would just start with you opening up a Roth IRA, you and your wife. And I would fill those first. I think you can do, is it 7,000, 7,500?
7,000 this year.
This year. And I would start with that. If there's still money to go, then you could go back to the 401k or 403b or whatever it is that you have. What do you have?
Well, we have both. She has a 401k that's sitting dormant right now from an old employer. So now she has a new employer. She'll be eligible for a 403b. And I have a 401k through my employer. I just don't think that will be eligible for the Roth. So I guess that would be my next question.
You can do a backdoor Roth if you're a high income earner, which sounds like you are. Do you have a Roth 401k option and a Roth 403b option?
The 401k, I can say yes for sure. I'm not sure about her 403b.
Well, I'd start with the Roth 401k option, and you're probably going to be able to do up to the max $23,000. I'd start there. Okay. And then if she has a Roth option, I'd go there. And then like George said, if there's still money to be had, since you're on the backdoor status, then you can move over to that backdoor Roth IRA and make sure that she's doing a direct transfer rollover for that old 401k.
Yeah, don't let it sit there. We want her to have full control, and the Roth IRA will give her a lot of options, or a traditional IRA, depending on what those funds are sitting in. You don't want to do it.
Fantastic.
You don't want to transfer it to a Roth account if it's not, because you'll have a tax burden there, and you only do that once you're in baby step 7, which I believe you guys are on the track to be there real soon.
Yeah.
So you're doing a great job. Get in touch with a SmartVestor Pro, RamseySolutions.com. They can help, handle all the logistics of this process and get you squared away and get you confident about the future. This is The Ramsey Show.
Your home is probably the biggest purchase you'll ever make. And with the real estate market like it is now, you'll need a mortgage company you can trust. That's Churchill Mortgage. You guys, buying a home is not a button push. It's a process. It takes building a relationship with an expert who will dig into the details and give you peace of mind without busting your budget. Churchill is one of the highest rated lenders in the country. And they're Ramsey trusted because they do what's right for you. Go to ChurchillMortgage.com to get started.
This is The Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. Open phones at 888-825-5225. Jade, you sent us this article that it piqued my interest, and I think the listeners can learn something from it. So would you regale us the tale?
Yeah, it all started, I did a media deal on that show on Fox, The Bottom Line.
Yeah.
And so it kind of came as a result of this. It's this Wall Street Journal, I believe, saying Gen Z sinks deeper in debt. And it's all about how Gen Z is facing kind of this debt to income ratio, rent to income ratio. And, you know, we hear the frustrations that people are facing all the time with what they're earning versus what their lifestyle needs, you know what I mean? The needs of their lifestyle. And so I thought this was interesting. It says the median annual wage for recent college grads was $60,000 in 2023. And at the same time, rent, which typically takes up less than 1/3 of the average worker's monthly paycheck, has actually soared. And so they give the numbers here. They say the median rent in the U.S. was about $1,987 as of January, which is a 22% increase over the past 4 years. And so as a result, Gen Z is saying, listen, our wages aren't keeping up with what the rent is, and it's becoming too great of a percentage of our take-home pay. And so as a result, we're seeing people, as always, George, whenever there's that strain, people go to credit cards and they go to debt to fill the gap. And so I thought it was interesting as I was reading it. Sometimes you read numbers and they just kind of float around in your head. And I was like, let me just run these numbers out a little bit and let me see what this actually looks like. Because the fact is, even if you're not a recent grad, even if you're not a Gen Z, but if you're out there, you're making around $60K and you're renting, this kind of does apply to you because you're feeling that strain and you're feeling that stress on your budget. So let's see how these numbers shake out. So if you are making $60,000 a year, the median rent is $1,928. That person, that rent is far exceeds that range that we're looking for. Usually your rent would be about 1/3 of your take-home pay, which is a little on the steep side. That's why people want to own houses.
1/4 of your take-home pay.
Yeah, especially if you're going to own a house. And so if you want to at least get to where it's 1/3, that person would need to take home around $5,961 per month.
So about $6,000 a month.
That's right.
Just $72,000 a year.
Meaning they would need to take home about $84,000 to $85,000 a year. So that's a $25,000 increase in order to get this rent where it needs to be in their budget. And so when you look at that, okay, $25,000, it sounds like a lot, but then you go, okay, that's about $2,000 a month, right? So my thought here is we're kind of this is like the side hustle generation until they get to the point where their core income gets higher. The point is you're going to have to side hustle. Like you can't supplement your lifestyle $2,000 a month, $500 a month, whatever it is on credit cards to make this happen. So what I want to say is the problem is real. Like no one's going to sit here and say it's not a problem.
Going crazy.
You know, you're just not doing this or you're just not doing that. Like it's a moot point at that point. Like this is a real problem and it's frustrating when you get out of college. It's frustrating at any point when you're doing your job, you're going to work every single day and something as basic as your rent or where you live is taking up that big of a percentage of your take home pay. And so I get it. Like there's a lot of frustration around that. But what I really want to say is we can't make the solution debt. Like the moment you make the solution debt, it takes it from being very inconvenient to just really crisis mode, and it takes it to robbing you of what your future can be. And so we've got to look at this and say, okay, how can we back this back out? And it really is with side hustles. It's finding ways to supplement your income. Maybe it's you taking on a roommate for a period of time until you can get that income where it needs to be. But this is, when you look at the numbers, George, I think sitting where we're sitting, it's important to be able to look at numbers and say, okay, this is what people are really facing. They're facing $2,000 deficits, $1,500 deficits, $700 deficits. But the good news is there's a lot of side hustles that can help make up that kind of cash.
Yes, and I know it's not fun. They're going, we shouldn't have to work 3 jobs to make a living. And I'm going, listen, when I was 22 and I was a college graduate, this was my life. Mm-hmm. It was side hustles, getting out of debt. I had roommates up until I was married. And I think a lot of young people have a picture of what their life was going to be after college.
Yes.
And it was going to be, I want to live where I want to live, do whatever I want to do. And they didn't realize what life would look like. And yes, inflation has exacerbated the problem 100%. Here, but you might need to get some roommates.
Absolutely.
You can't get your own flat in the best part of town. And the median means middle.
Middle, that's right.
So that means half of the rent in America is less than that. And half is more than that. And so you don't have to go, well, my rent is, here's an example. This girl's 26 in Salt Lake City. Her rent a little over a year ago for a 1-bedroom was $1,000. Since then, it's gone up by $200. And that puts a dent. She makes $30,000 as a customer service rep. It's not rent that's the problem. Like, we can find a way to make you $2,400, but getting your income up is really the key here.
That's true. But I mean, for me, it's society's going to put an option out there as the solution. And we've really got to beware, because I think when you do find yourself in a situation financially that's not, what you want, to your point, George, where it's rent is high or there's inflation or there's student loans, whatever that thing is, society's going to say, oh, we have the solution for you. And it's almost always some sort of debt product, right?
It's the most marketed product in history.
That's right. And so in 2021, credit card companies loosened the qualifications for who could get credit cards.
Yikes.
And more people opened new accounts. And so Gen Z members opened new credit card lines at a faster rate than other generations during the pandemic. And so that's why I think the message that we're putting out here, George, is really, really important, because we don't want to give you a Band-Aid. Like, debt doesn't stop the bleeding. It's just an old Walmart brand Band-Aid that you put on for a moment, but it really doesn't heal you. It really doesn't stop the bleeding. It's just a quick fix. And we want you to have a fix. We don't want you to go into debt. We don't want you to make the problem worse. We're saying, hey, sacrifice for a little while, whether that's, side hustling, whether it's living in a cheaper part of town, whether it's finding a different place altogether. But definitely do not look to debt, because it's robbing you of your future, because you're going to get into more payments.
And then buy now, pay later becomes your solution, quote unquote. And the credit card companies are always marketing to you as, hey, we're going to give you financial freedom and breathing room. They're using the same language we do, but they're selling you chains. That's what they're really giving you.
Yeah.
Because, hey, here's some handcuffs that will temporarily make you feel a little bit better.
And that's the thing. That's honestly, George, that's what you have to take away from this. Any company that's really benefiting from your bondage, benefiting from you being in debt, benefiting from you taking on more of that, they're not going to help you find freedom. And we're interested in helping you guys find freedom. And we're telling you, it is not by signing up for a new credit card. It is not by taking out personal loans. It is by you doing the hard work and doing some sacrifice on the front end. It's just, you can't get around it. I remember when my husband and I had roommates. We were married and we had roommates. I mean,
because you needed the money.
Yeah, the rent was $1,200, and let's see, we each paid $650, or something like that, and it saved us $650.
Hey.
It was temporary, but hey. You do what you got to do.
That's a side hustle in its own right. And that's why I wrote the book, Breaking Free from Broke, was to help people understand all of these traps out there, show them a different way, regardless of what's happening with inflation and the economy and who's going to be president in November. It was all so exhausting because none of it led to solutions or freedom. It just led to wallowing and pity parties and complaining on social media.
You can't let a good reason become a bad excuse. And that's what we want to get to. Listen, there are good reasons out there. Like, the reason is inflation. The reason is rent prices. The reason is wages are not keeping up with inflation. Those are all very valid reasons. And I don't want to go on the record as saying they're not. But the moment you let it become a bad excuse for you to go into debt is when things go off the rails.
Amen. Well, we built a free tool to help people find a great side hustle for them. You can go to RamseySolutions.com/side hustle. And this is a tool that I help build that really helps people figure out how much time do I have? What's my target?
Yeah.
What are my talents? What makes sense for me? Because everyone goes, yeah, do a side hustle. but what's the right one? What's the best one for my time? And so this tool has been helping people figure that out with a really quick free quiz. So RamseySolutions.com/side hustle is the place to go.
Tell them a little more about that, because when I saw this quiz for the first time, a lot of people think I don't have time for a side hustle, or my skill set, I don't have the right skills for side hustles. But the way this does it is really great. It talks about your time, it talks about your skill set, and
we have different kind of, in the back end, there's quadrants. You have low skill, high time. Do you have high skill, low time? Do you have a mix of both? And what's fun is that most people said, no, I actually have some skills and I actually have some time.
love that.
And listen, you got time. You're watching the show, you're scrolling social media. Don't tell me you have time. Tell me you won't make the time. But it's worth it. And it might be for a season. This is not your life forever. Gen Z, millennials, Gen X, boom, whatever.
It will get better.
It will get better.
Make it better.
But you've got to be a part of that. You have agency. This is The Ramsey Show.
Hey guys, here's a quick math refresher. There are only 24 hours in a day. So you and your team need to streamline time-consuming tasks to focus on the activities that actually make money. Smart businesses are realizing that to reduce headaches as they scale, they need NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite is the #1 cloud financial system, bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR into one platform. With NetSuite, you reduce IT costs because NetSuite is cloud-based. You cut the cost of maintaining multiple systems because you've got one source of truth. And you improve efficiency by bringing all your major business processes into one platform, slashing manual tasks and errors. So join the 37,000 plus companies, including Ramsey Solutions, that have done the math and are boosting their efficiency with NetSuite. And right now, download NetSuite's popular KPI checklist designed to drive the right behaviors for your business absolutely free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. That's netsuite.com/Ramsey to get your free KPI checklist.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. If you're enjoying the show today, or any other day for that matter, do us a quick favor and hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, leave a comment, leave a review, share it with a friend. All of that is the best marketing plan we have, and you guys are so good at it naturally, but it's helpful to remind you to do it because you may not have taken the time to actually hit those buttons and share it with a friend, and it could, who knows, it could affect someone else's life and help create a ripple effect from the show. So thank you for doing that. Andrew is up next in Portland, Maine. What's going on, Andrew?
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Sure. How can we help?
So my wife and I have accrued some points from a credit card that we have, and really I'm just curious on your opinion if we should use those for vacation, probably this fall, take our kids on vacation, as we're just getting through that debt at the same time. Oh,
how much debt do you have?
So on the credit cards, we have $64,000, and then we've got the two cars, that's about $44,000. And then the mortgage as well.
What's your household income?
$120,000. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Whew, that's not really a vacation. I feel like it's hard to vacate when you have that kind of debt tied around your body, right? And you're going into debt in order to make it happen? With these credit cards?
We already have the points accrued, so we've got like $3,300 worth of gift cards. So it probably cost us $2,000 to $3,000.
No, it cost you $64,000. You said you had $64,000 of credit card debt
at 22% APR.
Yeah.
So the points are the problem. They're not the solution to anything. And so I would clear the debt, and after you become debt-free, you still got some points, use it to celebrate. But you're going to do it with cash. And right now you guys are broke. Regardless of the points, you're still going to have to come out of pocket for something. You're not going to be able to gift card your way to a totally paid-for vacation, and you're better spent using that vacation time to be doing side hustles to get the income up even more, because you are about in debt as much as you make in income.
Why are you guys spending so much on these cards and not paying it off? Because the truth is, George, plenty of people argue with us and say, oh, I use my credit cards for the points, but I pay it off every month. And you're a really great example of somebody who's not paying it off every month. So what's happening that you're putting $64,000 worth of debt on a credit card?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we relocated about 5 years ago, and before we moved, that was exactly what we did. But with that relocation, we started to just be foolish and lived outside of our means. And I wasn't making, or we weren't making the amount of money that we are now. I just took a new opportunity, and our income went up by $40,000 annually.
Good.
So,
Good.
And along with that is kind of what has really got me bought in, and my wife bought in. We talked a couple weeks ago, and she's really bought in with it, but she's kind of hung up on this vacation because our kids are young, and she wants to take advantage of that. So that's kind of what I'm trying to navigate through.
Okay, I get it. I think in her mind, it's like, listen, we have this free money sitting here. Why not use it? And then we can tackle these credit cards. I'm just worried that, to George's point, how many is your family? Family of four?
Yes.
Yeah, family of four it's going to cost more. And I don't think that the mentality is there. I think that if you continue to say, well, we're going to use these credit cards for this benefit, and she's still viewing it as some sort of a benefit in her mind, the mentality is not there to do what it takes to clear this debt. And that's where my red flag goes off.
Right. So we've got 5,000 or so in savings, so more than just the emergency fund, and I could just put that obviously on the credit cards. That kind of kept it there with us in the back of my mind.
Okay.
With it knowing that she wants to do this.
How bought in are you guys? Are you ready to sell the cars level?
I don't think we're quite there. I drive a lot for my job, so I'm not sure I'm ready to get a beater of any.
You know what that means? If you drive a lot for your job, it means your car is depreciating faster than the average person, which means you are going to be upside down on this car if you're not already.
That's true. Hey, before we get too far into the cars, you said you had the $3,300 on gift cards. Is that what I heard you say?
Yeah.
You can redeem it for gift cards.
They're already gift cards. They're already redeemed.
What kind of gift cards are they?
They're for Disney.
Oh, you redeemed them for Disney gift cards. Well, ain't that
here's my thing. I think we can hang on to the gift cards. They're not going to lose value over time.
Right.
Let's wait till we're debt free, and then we'll do a Disney celebration, and these gift cards will help pay for it. But not until we are completely debt free.
So break down these cars. You said $44,000 in cars. What's yours and what's your wife's?
So I drive a Jeep Cherokee. It's a 2021 Jeep Cherokee, and then my wife drives a 2019 Chrysler Pacifica.
And what's the debt on your 2021?
$23,000.
Okay, so it's about equally split.
Are these the credit cards? Are they split amongst a bunch of cards?
Yes.
Okay.
Here's my rule. Here's my rule where it comes to these cars. And I don't think you're going to be able to do it. So I think one of them's going to get sold. If you can't pay it off in 2 years or less, then it's out, right? And so you're making $122,000. I'm guessing your wife's staying home with the kids?
Well, that's combined with her. She works part-time. She brings in less than 10.
Okay. And is that because she's staying home with kids?
Right.
Okay.
So we don't have to pay for childcare.
Right. Is there a way that she can make more part-time, do you think?
I don't think so. She picks up as much as she can for extra shifts, but without having to add in childcare. We don't have any family nearby.
Okay.
That could pick the kids up from school, so adding in the cost of childcare.
I hear you.
We've really looked at that, but it wouldn't work.
If I were you, if you're not yet upside down on one of these vehicles, if I were you, I might get rid of one of these vehicles and take $4,000 of your saved money and put a little money with it and get you an $8,000 car that she can drive. Whoever wants to drive it, I don't really care. But I'd clear one of these out now. That's what I would do to knock this down, especially since you don't see your income going up anytime soon. And that clears out, $20-some thousand of this. And then I'm going to get busy on these credit cards. What's the smallest one?
It's 9,000.
Yeah, that's where we're starting. We're listing them in order from smallest to largest. We're paying minimum payments on everything, so you don't have debt collectors and whatnot. And then all the extra money, you got to put it at the smallest debt. And I know you said it's not possible, but I really want you guys to sit down and truly get sober and somber about this and say, okay, what do we have to do? Is there truly no other time? Is there truly no other way that we can be earning money? Because I think if you stretch, there's some money that can come in somewhere, but I can tell you this, it's not going to be comfortable.
So the other aspect that I haven't shared yet, but I don't know really about it yet because I just started this new opportunity, but I'll bonus twice a year.
Okay,
and
good.
That could be, it could be 18,000 twice a year.
Great.
So kind
That's
of in
excellent.
the back of my mind, I was thinking that I'll use that and pay off one of the cars as quick as possible, or put it on the credit cards, one or the other.
When you say could, is this like a 80% thing, like a 90% thing, or like a 20% chance?
I will. That's where it's going to go.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I just don't know which is the right one to do. If I put it on the cards or if
You
I
put it
pay
on the
off
smallest
card, because-
balance, and when it's knocked out, you attack the next smallest balance while
And
making minimums on the rest.
If I were you, I wouldn't let those bonuses keep me from selling one of these vehicles. I would still do that because I want you out of this debt as quickly as
You got
possible.
$108,000 in debt. You make $120,000, and here's the deal: the context for what Jade's saying is, on average, it takes people about 18 to 24 months to pay off the debt. So it's going to take massively longer than that. We need to make a deeper sacrifice, which may include selling the car. So for you, we got to put $55K a year onto the debt. That looks suspiciously like a little over $4,500 a month. And if you can't find $4,500 a month in your budget, we need to sell something. We need to increase income, cut the expenses in order to get rid of this debt in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our monthly expenses, not factoring in anything extra like clothes for the kids, just the base expenses is just over $6,000.
Is this because of your mortgage? You must have a massive mortgage.
Yeah, what's the mortgage payment?
The mortgage it's $2,100.
Okay, and what's your take-home pay every month?
So like I said, I just started this opportunity, so I've literally gotten half of a paycheck so far.
What is it? What will a full paycheck be?
Full paycheck should be $4,200 bi-weekly.
Ooh, lordy, lordy.
Okay, that's good. That's twice a week, so twice a month. So it'll be about $8,000.
Then you're
so
okay.
Pause all investing. If you're getting a refund every year, you need to change your withholdings. We need to find any money we can in the proverbial couch cushions to get out of debt fast. That's the only way out of this. Cut up the cards, never look back. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Thank you to Jade Warshaw, all the folks in the booth, and you, America. We'll be back before you know it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. It's your show, America, so call us up at 888-825-5225, and we will give you our opinion about your situation, and that's about what it's worth. It's our 2 cents.
2 cents.
If that.
That's the price of admission.
There it is. Phil joins us up first in Reading, Pennsylvania. What's happening, Phil?
Hi, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. What's going on?
I have a pretty good problem. My wife and I and our 3 daughters, we are saving for their college. They're 8, 6, and 4, and we started their 529 accounts as soon as they got a Social Security number.
Amazing.
We agree that we should eventually tell them that they have these accounts. We're just not sure when it's appropriate or when it would be wise to tell them, and if it's ever a good idea to tell them how much is in the account.
Oh, man. I think it's a great idea to let kids know that we're planning for your education, and the expectation is that you are going to continue your education in some form of fashion. I think it's great to start sharing that, honestly, as early as it makes sense without being weird.
Yeah, my guess is middle school, high school is when they start even thinking about that. So I don't think there's a need to tell a 4-year-old, hey, buddy, there's $100,000 in your 529 plan. They might be like, whoa, that's a lot of money. But there's just not as much context as to why it matters. And it's not like you're going to give them a trust fund that they're going to go blow in Vegas here.
That's right.
This is a 529 account. It's to be used for education only. So I don't think they're going to lose their minds and become entitled brats, but I think it helps when deciding about college. Hey, here's our plan. Mom and dad really prepared, and here's your part of the plan. You're going to work your tail off. You're going to get scholarships. If we don't have to use all this money, even better. We're able to roll that over to a retirement account or leave it to grandkids and other people in the family. And so I think you have that honest conversation with them as they mature into, probably early high school.
And I would take it a step further too and letting them know. I don't think it's wrong for them to know the amount at the right age to say, let's say for the 8-year-old, there's, I don't know, $70,000 in the account by the time she's ready to go on to further education, to kind of say, hey, this is the budget. And
this is the limit.
It doesn't go beyond this. And the only way it goes beyond this is if you decide that you're kicking in some cash because we're not doing student loan debt. So I think that the 529, obviously, the point of it is to save up. But it also creates an opportunity to open up these lines of communication to where you are speaking about the things and the expectations around college that a lot of people, frankly, they don't have those conversations. Parents just kind of, it's like, junior year, it's like, all right, pick your school. And that's it. And that's how we have all this student loan debt.
And then we'll figure out the rest later. And figure it out means taking out a whole bunch of loans and Parent Plus loans and delaying their future. So to me, I'm already convinced that you're going to send these kids to college debt free. And so I'm not worried about that. You've done a great job, Phil. I think as they get into high school, you start having the conversation and saying, hey, you're going to finish college in 4 years. That's what Dave said to all the Ramsey kids going, here's the deal. I'm going to pay for college, but here's the budget, here's the limit. You're going to go to an in-state school, and you're going to finish in 4 years. And if you do it that way, I will pay for it. And have them watch Borrowed Future and go, here's what it could have looked like if mom and dad didn't prepare. If we just chose whatever famous school because of the football team, here's what our life could look like. So I hope that helps kind of start these conversations, but you're definitely early on the game in the best way.
Yeah, for sure. And we were really just, like you guys said, they're going to start to hear about college, middle school, high school. Their friends are going to start talking about it. The teachers start to talk about it.
Yeah.
And we figured, one less thing to stress over, figuring out how to get there. My wife and I both worked our way to get through college, and we feel blessed to be able to offer this for our daughters. But we just figured one less thing to worry about.
Yeah. One thing that I like, and this is kind of an approach that my husband and I are trying to take, is I want to be the authority on all conversations for my kids. I want them to hear about the things from the first time from us. So the first person you're going to hear talking about school and college is me and Papa, right?
Not from the guidance counselor.
Not from the guidance counselor. And that goes on a lot of other issues, by the way, as well. But if you want to be the authority when it comes to how to pay for college, how to handle your money, and the way you do that is you're the first person that they ever hear talking about it. And so I think that that's an advantage that you guys have in this situation too, that they're looking to you for advice, not anybody else. As the forward.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. And you show them that, hey, money comes from work. You can give, save, spend. Teach those lessons early on. And when they get to college, it's not going to be a whiny, entitled, I just want to go where I want to go, regardless of the
my guidance
bill.
counselor said there were student loan options for me.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And it's a bunch of financial aid in the form of loans.
Aid,
no, thank you. All right, Jessica is in Miami up next. What's happening, Jessica?
Hi, George and Jade. I'm so excited to be on with you guys.
We're excited as well. What's your question today?
Thank you for taking my question. So I was just looking for some guidance and some wisdom. It's kind of on the same vein as the last caller. Up to this point, my husband and I have been putting our kids' birthday and Christmas money into just a regular savings account. My oldest is now 6, so should we be teaching spend, save, give with their Christmas and birthday money, or should we just do that with any earned money, like allowance or chores?
I teach them with all the money because it is with all of your money. So I would just, if you're teaching it to them as just kind of as an umbrella way of thinking about money, then I think that it does apply to all of that. And obviously the ratios of it, might differ depending on how much it is or what they've already done. But as long as they know there's 3 things that you can do with your money, I think that's enough.
And then would you recommend like a high yield savings to put that away, or just a regular savings is fine?
I mean, if it's no cost to you to do a high yield.
Right.
Yeah, it'll earn more interest. It's not going to be life-changing when they've got, $100 in there,
That's
but
right.
it's a great principle to teach them that, broke people pay interest, wealthy people earn it, and this is what it looks like to prepare for the future. How old are the kids?
My oldest is 6, and then my little one he's 4.
That's
Love
fun.
it. My kids are that age too.
So
Okay, that's awesome.
are they in the kindergarten phase? The 6-year-old, are they in elementary now?
Yeah, my 6-year-old is just finishing kindergarten.
Okay. I'm going to make sure
we homeschool.
our team sends you a great blog from our friend Rachel Cruz called 15 Ways to Teach Kids About Money, and it goes through age-appropriate ways to teach kids, whether they're in preschool, kindergarten. So, this starts with a clear jar for savings, setting an example with your own money habits, show them that stuff costs money. If they're going to buy the toy, bring cash and have them actually hand over the cash to get the item. Because when you get older, you realize, I just put my card in, I got my card back, and I got stuff.
That's right.
And so that's a big thing. Opportunity cost as well. If you buy this video game, you're not going to have money to spend on shoes. And then on top of that, commissions, as they start doing chores, give them commissions instead of allowance. That's a big thing, is you don't just get money for existing, you get money for work. And there's some things you do because you're part of the family. You brush your teeth because that's what you do as a healthy person. But hey, if you help mom clean up the garage or clean up the leaves, you're going to get $5.
Ooh, I'm going to add something to the list. Another one I'd add to the list is the idea of, in a moment, if you want to buy something, it'll be there a week from now, and 2 weeks from now. So it's like, hey, we're not going to buy that today. And then go back and show them a couple weeks later, listen, it's still there. Like, you can buy it. You don't have to buy it in the moment every time. That's good.
I love this. Teach them while they're young. This is preventative medicine, America. And I'll make sure our team puts the blog, 15 Ways to Teach Kids About Money, in the description and the show notes. If you want to read through that, it'll give you some great tips on how to teach your kids about money. And of course, check out Rachel and Dave's book, Smart Money, Smart Kids. This is The Ramsey Show.
You've been gazelle intense, you've eaten more beans and rice than you knew existed, and now you're ready to make your biggest investment better. Blinds.com is a great way to dress up a room or your entire home. Whether you're comfortable with do-it-yourself projects or you don't even know what a Phillips head screwdriver is, well, trust Blinds.com to take care of you like Ramsey would. You can do the measuring and installation yourself, or you can let Blinds.com's professionals handle everything for you. Blinds.com offers a completely hassle-free experience. Count on them to deliver stylish window treatments from premium brands without the premium markup. You'll never have to deal with pushy salespeople in your home just to get a quote. But you can count on free shipping, free samples, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee so that you can rest easy. That's why we've recommended Blinds.com for over 10 years. Shop Blinds.com right now and get up to 40% off. That's Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. We've got an electric crowd in the lobby today for our Total Money Makeover Weekend event. They are happy to be
they're
here.
cheering and
They're
everything.
enthused. This is the kind of live audience we've been missing out on, Jade.
That's right. I could get used to this.
This is wonderful.
You guys want to come back next week?
We've got our event kicking off tonight up at the brand new Ramsey Event Center. It's going to be a good time, and we appreciate all of them traveling from all over the world to be here. Jordan is on the line in New York City. What's going on, Jordan?
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing well. How can we help?
I just needed a little bit of, maybe more than a little bit of financial guidance. I'm getting a settlement cost of around $75,000.
Okay.
And I'm not sure what to do with it.
What was the settlement for?
I was in a car accident.
Was everything okay? Are you good and healthy at this point?
After a couple of years, yeah. For the most part, I'm good now.
You're able to work?
Yeah. So I currently got my real estate license April 30th. So I just started that journey.
Okay. How old are you?
I'm 23.
Okay. Are you working full-time outside of the real estate right now?
No, sir.
So you're doing real estate full-time?
Yes, sir.
Are you making any money yet?
No, not as of right now.
That worries me. Where are you living?
I live in Bayside.
Okay. Are you living alone with family?
I live with my mother.
Okay.
Okay.
So you have very little expenses?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any debt?
Currently, I am paying off a car loan of $10,000 right now.
Okay. But that's it. Nothing else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Do you have any money saved?
I have about a couple thousand in my savings, in my checking account, and I have about $7,200 invested in Google and Amazon.
Okay. So that couple of thousand, is that like 2,000 or 6,000? How much is it?
That's like 1,500.
Okay.
Cool.
When's
All
the
right.
settlement going to hit your account?
Well, my lawyer wanted to meet again in 1 month, so I think around a month.
Okay. If I were in your shoes, there's a couple of approaches I'd take here. When this money comes through, I would pay off the car. I'd get that car debt out of your life, with the caveat that you're not going to borrow money for cars ever again. At this point, you're set up to buy cars in cash from this point forward. If I were you, I would also consider liquidating these single stocks, because they're just not the investment that you want at this point in your career as an investor. That's later on down the line if you wanted to get into that, and I do a very small percentage in single stocks, but definitely not a starting spot. And then for me, I would be thinking about, okay, I've got this $65,000 left from the settlement. I've got $7,200 minus any taxes or whatever from these stocks. I've got another $1,500 saved. I'd move it into a high yield. I'd call that 3 to 6 months of expenses plus a little bit of savings towards a down payment or my first rent payment whenever you get stable from this real estate. But I don't think you have the stability of a paycheck or a job that's bringing in regular income for you to move out at this point. And I think that's the second thing that I'd be focused on.
Mm-hmm.
Were you working before this, Jordan?
Yeah, I was a pharmacy technician for around 4 years.
Okay. What were you making doing that?
Around 32.
Okay. My worry is that the real estate game right now could be tough to get into and actually see a paycheck from because it's commission-based. And so I think you might need to get a part-time job right now or even a full-time job and do real estate on the side and start to build that up until you can kind of, instead of it being a leap, it becomes a step.
Yeah, well, how'd you get out of the pharmacy tech? Did you quit or did something else happen?
At one point, I joined a contracting agency to where you were contracted to return hospitals for certain times that needed help. And when my contract ended, I decided to step full in to the real estate journey, I guess.
Are you working for a broker right now?
Yes.
Which one?
Keller Williams.
So it's costing you money right now to be a real estate agent. You're losing money because of all the fees associated with this.
Mm-hmm.
You got the NAR fees, you got the Keller Williams fees, and you're not selling any houses. And so that's the part that worries me is from the settlement, I'm scared you're going to just drain this thing down to survive and live while hoping real estate takes off.
What's it cost every month?
100.
Okay, that's not bad. I agree with George 100%. I think that you need to go back to doing either pharmacy teching or whatever it was you were doing before. Either way, you need a full-time income, and real estate is a hobby until it becomes something that's making you actual money. And as Ken would say, you kind of need to pull the boat closer to the dock before you make that leap. Otherwise, you're going to drown.
Right.
Hope that helps, Jordan. I wish there was we could just snap our fingers and make this pretty, but it's going to be hard work. Real estate is no joke, and right now the market's tough. You're in a very intense market in the New York City area, and so I would get a mentor in this space to go, hey, how do you get your feet wet here? How do I actually make my first sale?
Yeah.
Because that's another thing is who's going to take the chance on Jordan as a 23-year-old first-time real estate agent to go, sure, you can help me sell this $1.5 million condo in New York City. That's a tough game to be in.
And if I could just offer a little piece of, I'm going to say this because I think to be good at real estate, you got to be a people person and you got to have a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of razzle dazzle. And I didn't feel that from my guy.
I wasn't getting the riz,
I didn't
Jordan.
get the razzle and I didn't get the dazzle. So that's one woman's opinion. But this is
that's a good point. Real estate, it takes a certain personality type. You kind of need to like the spotlight in order to do it. And
good,
I think
good with your words, good at selling.
And people get into real estate thinking this is going to be, I'm going to own the job. I'm going to make great money. And you can eventually.
Yes.
But it can be a grind to get there.
And it's not going to come to you. You have to go get it.
Yes. Back a few years ago, a monkey could sell houses because they were flying off the shelves. Right now, you got to be a real pro to do it. And so for that reason, Jordan, I would try to get as much training as you can and get this thing off the ground while working full time.
That's right.
So, all right. John is up next in Shreveport. John, we're up against the clock. Get right to your question. How can we help?
Hey, thanks for making me debt-free first.
Woo, you did it.
We didn't do nothing, but thank you.
Yeah. Back in 2010, we went with the plan and got debt-free. But my question is, my granddaughter is a senior in high school. She's leaving to go to George Washington University, and she's got a scholarship, but it doesn't meet all her needs. And she's going to have about a $20,000 a year gap in the scholarship and tuition. And I'm sitting here thinking, should I pay that or make her take out student loans? And I don't want to do that.
Well, you're not making her do anything. If you're in a financial position to bless her in that way, that's something that my wife's grandparents did for her, and it was a huge blessing. And she didn't even realize it until she was out of college in the real world. Are you financially able to do that without affecting your own life?
I am. Well, my wife passed away a few years ago, but we're debt-free. And I'll have just close to probably about $1 million in liquid and real estate.
John.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I can afford it.
So if you've got the cash to do it, it's not holding you back. I think that's a wonderful blessing.
Mm-hmm. Or you could split it and say, hey, you work part-time and pay $500 and I'll pay the gap each month, because studies do show that when students work part-time, they do better all around in school. So
if she's got some skin in the game, she's gonna go, I got to finish in 4 years. I got to actually go to class. Yeah. And so I think
She's already got a part-time, we'll have a part-time job.
Okay, good.
Wonderful. She's got a good head on her shoulder. She's got an awesome grandpa. Man, I think that's one of the coolest ways you can live and give like no one else is start with your own family. Mm-hmm. Cause that generational change where she gets to graduate and go, because of my granddad's hard work, I was able to go to college debt-free. And so that's a beautiful thing. Thanks for inspiring us all. And I would say, hold the trigger, man. Help her go to school debt-free if you can. This is The Ramsey Show.
Statistics show that half of Americans don't have enough life insurance, or they don't have any at all. I don't understand this, John. Why don't people want to take care of their family? They think they're going to die or something?
Well, I used to be one of those guys. I didn't even think about it. And one of my buddies said, hey, the only reason to not have life insurance is if you hate your wife and kids. And I immediately went and got term life insurance.
That's a gut punch.
And, you're telling me, and for decades, Dave, I've sat across people who've lost a spouse. They've lost somebody important to them.
Me too.
They don't know what to do next.
Me too. I mean, you're going to have a crisis here. And, you got two options while you're sitting and talking to a young widow. She's concerned about how she's going to invest all this money properly and not mess this up, or she's concerned how she's going to eat tomorrow.
That's exactly
These are the
right.
two options.
And
take care of your dadgum family, man.
Term life insurance can replace income, pay off debts, cover funeral expenses, so your family can actually have the opportunity to just be sad.
Yeah.
To just miss you.
That's exactly what it's supposed to be. It's saying I love you to your family. Term life insurance. Jeff Zander and the team at Zander Insurance makes it easy and affordable. I've used them personally for 25 years. They're the only people I trust. Go to Zander.com or call 800-356-4282.
Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw this hour. Phone lines are open at 888-825-5225. Well, don't call it a comeback, but the Live Like No One Else cruise is back, Jade. It's happening March 22nd through the 29th of 2025. Join Dave and all of us Ramsey personalities for 7 days at sea with a lot of special guests, from magicians to musicians to comedians to, celebrity chefs. It's going to be an amazing time. And let me call out that this cruise is for a specific portion of our audience.
Who is that?
Baby step 4 and beyond, which means you have no consumer debt, you've got the emergency fund, and you're ready to have some fun and celebrate. This is the ultimate debt-free celebration. I think we're going to try to set a world record for largest debt-free scream.
I'm here for it.
Let's go. I've always wanted to be a part of a Guinness World Record. This is my chance. So we're going to take over the entire cruise ship. It's going to be all Ramsey fans. That's going to be intense. Mm-hmm. We're going to stop at some incredible spots, including Turks and Caicos, St. Thomas, San Juan, the Bahamas, and VIP upgrades already sold out. Most of the suites are sold out, but we do have some amazing cabins still available, like ones with the ocean view. You got to get your deposit in now. That's what you're committing to. This thing will sell out because the first one sold out within weeks.
Wow.
And we launched this thing a few weeks ago, and it's happening less than a year from now, March 22nd through the 29th. Go ahead, budget for it, talk to your spouse, book your cabin. I did find out that you can bring your kids.
Yes, I'm bringing my kids. Should I be saying that on the air?
Uh-oh.
I'm not bringing them.
The Warshaw kid's going to be running rampant. But someone said, hey, can I bring my teenager? And I asked the team. I said, yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
It's all your whole family, as long as y'all are debt-free in baby step 4.
Love it. So go book your cabin, RamseySolutions.com/cruise. That's the place to go. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
CJ is up next in Atlanta, Georgia. What's going on, CJ?
Good afternoon. How are y'all?
Doing well.
Good. My question is, me and my wife are interested in purchasing a laundromat. I'm just wondering, would it be better to do a seller financing route, or would it be better to take out an SBA loan?
Ooh, juicy conundrum here. Well, this is you're launching a business, and if you're familiar with Dave's Entree Leadership book, the whole brand, we are big on launching and starting and running and growing your business completely debt-free, which tells me we're not ready to start this business.
Gotcha.
So what's this laundromat going to cost?
Approximately around $750,000, but we're still kind of shopping around and looking at different deals.
That's just to get in? That's the lowest entry point?
Yes and no. We're still kind of looking around, but that was one of the starting prices that I had for one that was kind of selected here in Atlanta. But
what made you go, I'm going to buy a laundromat in Atlanta?
Well, we were just looking at businesses that obviously have that type of cash flow that we can kind of self-manage, and just a starter for us to continue to develop income over the years. So laundromat and/or smaller car wash kind of came about.
When I hear $750 to start, that doesn't feel like what you just said, like a starter, like an entry level thing just for you to get in and manage. That feels like something that is a huge undertaking to manage, and honestly, financial output before you're able to earn it back, because you're not profitable until you've paid back the $750,000.
What's the cash flow of this place?
The cash flow is about $250,000-$300,000 a year in revenue.
Top line?
Top line I think is around $90,000 to $100,000.
No,
the bottom line would be the smaller number.
I'm sorry. Yes, sir. Yeah, $90,000 to $100,000 profit. Bottom line, yes, sir.
Bottom line profit going to you, not net profit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this would be your full-time job?
No, this would be something outside of my full-time job.
Okay, what's your current household income?
Current house is $148,000.
Cool. And how much, do you have any debt right now?
No, sir. We are debt-free.
Wonderful.
If I were you, I would not forfeit your debt freedom. In any case, I would not do this deal in debt, but especially you forfeiting debt freedom because you guys have chosen that to be a value in your life. And so this doesn't align with what you guys have said are your values. If you clearly care about being debt free because you went through that journey. If I were you, and obviously it looks like you're buying an existing business. If I were you, I'd say, okay, if we are on fire about clean clothes, like this is what gives us the juice, as Ken Coleman would say, then I would start looking at what does it look like for us to create a business from the ground up that we can move at the speed of cash to create. And then that's going to be something that truly, you're going to be able to get into the business that you want to get into it in the right way. Does that make sense?
Gotcha. Yeah, that does make sense. Yes. I know just for us, we're just looking just to buy existing business just to kind of create more income streams down the road. So that was the main purpose, but now I do understand.
If the goal is to create more income, I want you to understand that you can do that. You don't have to buy something existing to create income. You can create income tomorrow selling the things out of your garage. I mean, if that's the goal. So when you run it through that lens, you go, okay, that makes sense. Now, if you're thinking that it'll be less work for me if I buy something that's existing and I can have, quote, make money while I sleep and it's not going to require anything because somebody else got this up and running, I would caution you on that because I don't care what business you do. It takes work and effort and time and attention, even if you do buy something that's existing. So
and it's going to add a whole lot of risk to this. And that's what we find with business owners that do it with debt is they end up adding a whole bunch of risks to their life. You're going to take out most of this with financing and with an interest rate. And then what happens if something goes wrong? What happens when you want to move? You don't really have the freedom you think when you owe $750,000 in debt. That's right. That's tied to a physical location. So I would caution you against this. I know there's a lot of TikToks out there being like, oh, bro, it's so easy. It's easy money. And the reality is if you talk to anyone that actually runs a business, it takes years. It's a grind. And when you do it debt-free, at least it takes a whole layer of risk out of the picture. And the truth is when you operate a business with debt, my husband and I's business, we've always operated it at the speed of cash. It's a debt-free business. And I can't imagine having to make the decisions that we've had to make on a daily basis with the caveat of debt, right? Because then you're going, well, I've got to make this because I've got these bills coming in and I've got to make this. Like it creates a level of franticness around your decisions that I wouldn't want there. We can make decisions purely from the place of profit. Wow, that was really purely from the place of profit. That was purely a lot. But you see what I'm saying here is debt changes the way that you make decisions. It changes your heart rate, all of those things. So if it's just about cash flow, CJ, you might want to look into a real estate investment property that you pay cash for. And maybe that's a $200,000-$300,000 condo that you pay cash for and it's going to cash flow $2,000 a month. And we start there and build. But it doesn't sound like you're passionate about laundromats. You love the idea of cash flow. Yeah, everybody wants to make money. That's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, we all want that kind of freedom, but adding debt to the picture is not going to give you the freedom you think. Thanks for the call. Kelly is up next in Phoenix. What's going on, Kelly?
Hey, thanks for having me. I just had a quick question about the two cars I own. One is paid off. One has an $11,000 loan on it. Mm-hmm. The one with the loan I use recreationally on the weekends, and then the other one I use as a city commuter.
Okay.
And I'm just curious to know if I should sell one of them to kind of get a jump start on like investing and saving more and things like that.
Do you have any other debt?
Like second car. I do not. No, just the car.
How much money do you have in savings?
Just the starter emergency fund of $1,000.
And what's your income?
$40,000 after taxes.
Okay.
It's just you?
Just me, single. Yep.
What's your other car worth? The paid for one?
I think $5,000, give or take, on Kelley Blue Book. It's a Hyundai Veloster.
Wow. And your recreational vehicle is worth how much?
About what the loan is worth, about $11,000 or $12,000.
Yeah, I would sell that thing because it's a toy. It doesn't have any functional utility other than having a good time. And I'd rather you get rid of that, clear your debt, build a fully funded emergency fund, and then save back up and pay cash for that recreational toy next time.
Got it. Okay.
That's what I would do in your shoes. And if you want to aggressively pay it off, you can, but making 40 after tax, it's going to take a long time, and this thing really has no functionality in your life. I'd rather you use that time you would have spent recreationally to be doing side hustles to get rid of debt and get you in a good financial spot. So we'll get back to the fun in no time. But for now, we're doing some grown-up stuff, Kelly. Thanks for the call. This is The Ramsey Show.
You know, it doesn't take a degree in statistics to realize that this one stinks. 93% of undergraduate private student loans are co-signed. So when you're delinquent and drowning in private student loan debt, mom or dad or Uncle Joe is stuck in that financial stress along with you. But there is a way out. Why Refi? Why Refi offers a custom refinancing option with a fixed rate loan based on your ability to pay. And the average interest rate Why Refi offers is 3.9%, which can significantly reduce your monthly payment and decrease your total cost. Why Refi refinances your defaulted private student loans that other places won't touch. And I trust them to help you get out of debt. So don't be another statistic in the student loan swamp. Contact Why Refi at 844-2-RAMSEY or go to whyrefi.com/Ramsey. That's 844-2-RAMSEY or the letter Y, then REFY.com/Ramsey.
Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. Our question of the day today comes from Anna in Colorado, and we have phoned a friend. If you're wondering what Dr. John Deloney is doing here, it revolves around mental health, and we grabbed John and said, John, I've always wanted to phone a friend, like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and John was kind enough to join us.
That's right.
I was just doing somersaults in the hallway back there, and you're like, hey, you want to come on the show?
He's generally, if you're wondering what John's doing when he's not on the show, he's working out constantly.
Right. Probably not.
Well, thanks for being here to help us answer this question, John.
All right. So Ann in Colorado says, I'm the wife of a military veteran who suffers from mental illness and a traumatic brain injury. Because of his injuries, I am responsible for handling all the finances in our house. I try to sit down with him once a month to go over the budget, but even if he participates, he will forget it almost immediately. His injuries have impacted his memory, his ability to concentrate, and they make him become impulsive. We are currently on baby step 2 with a lot of debt. My husband says that he's on board with becoming debt-free. However, his mood swings and impulsivity make it extremely difficult to keep moving forward. He continues to overspend in all areas of the budget. When I try to talk to him about it, he becomes defensive and tells me I'm trying to control his life. It's almost like dealing with a fourth child. It is making it very difficult to stay motivated and getting us debt-free. My ultimate question is, how do I manage both his mental health while staying on budget and working towards a debt-free life? I want to continue doing this as a team, but I don't know if I should.
Whew, that one's a heavy one. So this is one of those strange situations that, because of the nature of something like this, whether it's traumatic brain injury or it's a mental health challenge, or let's say somebody loses a sibling or a parent and they are just going to a black hole of grief for a season, right? This is one of those moments that you got to pull yourself out 30,000 feet. And we teach these principles and we just repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. Mm-hmm. And there is some moments when we have to say, stop. You have to stay safe and you've got to preserve the integrity of your home.
That's right.
And so, like, for instance, we might tell somebody who, like, get out of debt, baby step 2. Oh, you're pregnant? Okay, stop. Mm-hmm. Just stop until the baby's born and then you can dump all that cash in there. This is a similar situation where, for this particular person, for Bethany, I've got some, like, one of my oldest best friends on planet Earth struggles from a pretty significant TBI. in many ways, you can be dealing with someone who has the capacity, the emotional capacity, the cognitive capacity of a kid, of a teenager, of a young adult. And so I have to build in structures, for lack of better terms, that are going to keep me and my kids safe, right? So I'm not going to recommend this couple share a bank account. That's not safe and it's not smart.
Yeah.
I'm also going to recommend, if she decides to stay in this marriage, which I hope she will, I think death till death do us part is an important thing. Sickness and health is an important thing. And I know it's hard. If she's going to have to get some people on her side that will look at him and say, because he might not be able to hear it from her, she's going to give you some money every month, right? That's going to help create boundaries that she by herself can't do. And then there is going to be an area of this that it feels like she's a parent. Like, here's what you can spend on this, and we're going to take away access for other ways to get money.
Does this improve over time, John, or is this kind of what it is?
Man, TBI is it's like taking a rubber bouncy ball and the three of us just throwing it in a room. That path of that ball is the different constellations of how TBI can be healed, how it can be managed, how it cannot be healed. It's just everybody's situation's different.
Wow.
So you're saying we need to put some guardrails here, and that includes separating the bank account, maybe taking away, because she's saying he feels like it's controlling his life. Right. But at some point, does she have to have a conversation and go, listen, I do have to control our finances. You know that.
Almost like a power of attorney situation.
Does she need to take financial power of attorney?
Yeah. I mean, that's a pretty significant move to take, financial power of attorney. That's not really a term.
I'm not saying that. It's kind of the idea, though, that somebody else is not really in a health state that they can make those decisions. I'm not saying legally she do it, but it's...
So I think the way we would say it is you have to be unified in your marriage when you're dealing with your money. Mm-hmm. She's not going to have that luxury. So she's going to have to get somebody else that she can make some of these bigger decisions with. Mm-hmm. And often he can't hear it from her. If she says, I can't give you any more access to money, I'm going to freeze your credit, I'm going to do these things for you, he can't hear it from her. He might hear it from one of his military buddies who is with him. He might hear it from
a financial coach,
a military doctor who he trusts and who would come sit with all three of them, right? Sit down as all three of them. So it's about looking at the situation and being honest about it and knowing there are situations when we have these principles, we are saying over and over and over again. Maybe your husband or wife is bipolar 1 and it has real lows and real high highs. Part of managing that is saying, I'm going to hold the debit card in the house, right? Mm-hmm. And you're not going to have access to the accounts. If you ever need anything, we're going to talk about it as a couple. But it's my job to keep us safe when you are real high or real low, right?
So
and
it's not a control mechanism where I go, it's beyond just like, I don't trust you. It's you don't have the ability to make wise decisions day in and day out.
And we all agree on that.
And we all agree on that. And so I think letting him see the budget and have access to it and say, here's your fund money. Mm-hmm. Here's the limit. Remember what we talked about yesterday. We said you have $100 left, and you spent that.
Well, is
that part of this?
Well, but here it's saying injuries have impacted memory, right? And so, yeah, we can have a long talk, a talk full of tears. We're committed to go forward. He wakes up the next day and has no recollection of that conversation.
Which I'm sure is frustrating for the other spouse.
And it's frustrating for him. He doesn't want to disappoint. And so he may respond with shame. She may respond with anger. It's just a part of it. But she has to know he's not going to remember this conversation tomorrow. Mm. So I've got to put some brakes and boundaries on this thing. And that's really, really hard. It's hard.
It is tough.
It's hard.
Yeah, I mean, she's taking a role of caretaker at that point.
Yeah, and we take this call all the time about adult parents, right? Who are maybe have dementia or maybe not making great choices as they're entering into their 70s and 80s. And
or if there's an addiction,
what do you do?
Gambling, things like that. It's the same principles underneath it of we need to be in control. We need to take away access.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, that is never a comfortable conversation. And I remember sitting with a group of policemen we were talking about when they were going into homes doing mental health calls. And one guy said, the thought of walking into somebody else's home and taking away their civil rights, their right to have freedom, and I take them just because of their mind's not working, it pained him. And when he said that, I was like, yeah, exactly. That's that. It's hard to look at somebody, an adult, and say,
well, you're taking away their agency in a way.
That's exactly right.
Well, I would think there's probably a grief that both of them are going to experience because she thought, hey, we're in this thing together. This is going to be part of our life together. Mm-hmm. We're making financial goals. We're tackling these things. And it's not going to happen that way. And I'm sure in the moment that he remembers, he probably felt that same way. So they both have something that they've lost, and that's sad.
And a traumatic brain injury, especially certain mental health challenges, is extra hard because there's no outward. There's not any big scars. There's not missing limbs. It just looks like my old guy, right? It just looks like my old wife. It just looks like the old fill in the blank. And yet everything's different now. And so, Bethany, I would tell you, your grief and your exhaustion is real, and it's right. And it's totally right. And you have to make a plan that is going to keep you and those kids and your husband safe. And that means you're going to have to go at this alone, or not as a marriage partner, but you're going to have to find somebody else, a Ramsey coach, a local FPU leader, somebody that can walk with you and help you make some money decisions, a parent, a therapist, somebody. And then you're going to have to get some other people in your life to help create some boundaries with her husband.
That's good.
There's no easy way to go about this, but those steps are at least practical and tactical to go. We're going to set the boundaries, have the hard conversations, put the guardrails in place, get third parties involved.
Well, I tell her to get connected with BetterHelp. At least she can be talking to somebody on a regular basis, somebody to help her put those guardrails in place, like what you spoke about. So,
well, and let me say this. Often people who find themselves dealing with kids, financial challenges, and then a spouse, romantic partner that's got challenges, right? Whether it's any number of mental health challenges, TBI, whatever. Often the phrase is, I can't keep doing this anymore. And I agree with that. But often we think that this is the marriage. It's not. It's this chaos. So get some help, get some boundaries, and start putting some barriers up.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can continue with the marriage.
Super helpful. John, thanks for jumping in, phoning a friend. It really works. It's good to have friends like John. Be sure to check out his book, Building a Non-Anxious Life. It's so good, and I love the way he helps people navigate all the challenges that touch money but are so much deeper. Thanks, John. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Thank you to John and Jade and you, America. We'll be back before you know it.
Brought to you by the EveryDollar app. Start budgeting for free today.
Live from the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, it's The Ramsey Show, where we help people build wealth, do work that they love, and create amazing relationships. I'm Ramsey personality George Campbell, joined by the one and only Jade Warshaw. Open phones at 888-825-5225. You call us and we'll do our best to help you take the right next step for your life and your money. Denise kicks us off in Provo, Utah. Denise, welcome to The Ramsey Show.
Thank you so much. Sure. I'm so nervous to be
it's just us, Denise.
On the phone with you guys. I know.
We'll take good care of you.
I really love you and Jade. You guys are amazing, and I just look up to you guys so much.
Oh, thank you. I'll let Ken know. She's no fan. I'm just kidding.
I love Ken too. Ken, I'm going to get your book.
There we go. Ken's not here. Don't worry. He can't hear you. I'm just having fun. How can we help you today, Denise?
Thank you. Okay, so I have a question. Our house, we're needing to get our HVAC replaced. And so we've gotten a few estimates. Right now we're on baby step number 2, and we are going to be done paying off our car, which is the last thing that we have to pay off next month. So we're so excited about that, and we're just grateful for the baby steps that you guys have laid out, because it's really helped us to be able to get financially ahead, have financial peace. However, our HVAC is needing replaced. It's going to be about $18,000. And so my husband...
That's the best quote you got?
Our house is... That's the one that we have from the people that service, that we have a membership with. We are planning on getting other quotes.
Is there a way that you can...
companies.
Sorry to cut in. Is there a way that you can kind of do the heating thing first and then the cooling thing, or whichever one is most pertinent to the time of year, to spread it out?
I hadn't thought about that, just because I've been told that it's usually, like, if you need to replace one, the other one usually is needing to be replaced around the same time, and the cost is a little bit less when you do both. But I hadn't thought about that. So
what is this membership?
That is something I'm sorry?
What is this membership?
It's through Whipple. They're just like a local, like, plumbing, heating, like HVAC services. And so it's a $20 a month fee that we pay to them, and they come out and like service our AC, our furnace. We have like drain cleaning, electrical safety stuff that they do.
It's like a warranty kind of company, or like a repair company. Okay.
Yeah.
I would get many quotes, because $18,000, just hearing that feels high. I don't know your house and your situation. It could be real, but I would get a lot more opinions.
Okay.
Even if there's a way to like keep it going for 6 more months to allow you guys to save up, we got to just see what all of the options are before deciding. Because my guess is you're saying, hey, should we just go ahead and take out a bunch of debt for this?
Right. Well, because, like originally my husband and I were like going to save our 6 months to do baby step number 3. So save 6 months worth of expenses. And then at that point, start saving for the HVAC. And then hopefully it doesn't die in between that time. And if it did, we would just pull from that emergency savings if that did happen. However, the guy that came yesterday to do the AC tune-up said that the prices probably will be going up just because of the rate of inflation. And so he said maybe it'd be better if you guys finance.
Of course he did.
This guy's a real salesman.
I mean, come on.
I know. And I did tell him, I said, no, we're not going to finance. We're going to save, like we're going to save and then pay it in full so we don't have any debt. And so he said, that's, he agreed, and he said, that's great, but the prices could go up next year. And so instead of paying 18, you might have to pay 21. So maybe it would be better if you guys just did it now. And so I thought about it only, when my husband presented it to me, and I thought, I don't know, I don't want to like go back to debt again. Like we're almost paying off our car.
We're not going back to debt again. That's got to be the
You're
line
taking
in
that
the
off
sand.
the table. So how much money do you guys make a year?
Our household, including so we rent out our basement. That's the only reason why we're also considering this, is because we rent our basement.
Uh-huh.
We just want to make sure that it's a good, livable place and we're not having issues with our renters downstairs.
Do you need the rent in order to make the mortgage payment?
It helps a lot. It helps it so that way I don't have to work, because I stay home with my children. And so when we bought this property 7 years ago, we bought it with that intent, was for me to not have to work anymore.
I just wanted to know in case something, like in case you do have to elongate this, and in case it does cause that a basement apartment or whatever to be uncomfortable. I just kind of wanted that little bit of information. Okay.
What's left on the car?
$4,400.
Okay, and what's it worth?
Which will be paid off by the end of next month.
What's the car worth?
Our minivan, it's worth, I'd say like probably 24.
So the first key is that George is getting at is we've got to pause the baby steps. Like this is kind of an on fire emergency. So I know you're saying, the car will be paid off by this point, but that's, to your point, that's $4,400 that are now going to be freed up to go towards at least half of this system.
Well, and I'm wondering, here's another solution that could fix this temporarily, is if you sold the van and you netted $20,000, you covered the HVAC, and you came up a little bit extra money and got a beater car to get you by until you can upgrade that car.
We could look into that. We just got this minivan because we had our third child about 15 months ago. And so I don't know if that's, I mean, I would definitely consider it and entertain the thought. I just,
you can he's not saying that you have to get a car. You can still get a vehicle that fits everybody. It would just be a lot older with a lot more miles on it. And it would only be temporary.
Right. It might be like a 6-month thing until you upgrade, to a $5,000 more expensive van, to another $5,000, so you kind of step back into a $24,000 van, but at least this gets you an HVAC without debt.
Yeah.
It doesn't
so
set
that's
you back.
at least one option. What's the household income?
Sorry, $100,000.
$100,000. Okay, so how quickly could you save up $18,000 if you guys cut your expenses down to nothing? You pause the baby steps. Maybe he picks up another side hustle. Maybe you're working part time. How quickly could you save up $18,000?
I'd say we could. So I had projected us, because I set the goals for our financial goals, and so we were going to have our 6 months and 6 month emergency fund by the beginning of December. So I think, and so that would be about $14,000 that we would have saved up by December. So probably like another month or two after that. So like I'd say next year by February.
Well, I bet you could do it sooner because remember, you're pausing the baby steps. So all that money that you were throwing towards debt in that equation, that's now back in your pocket. Right. So I think you'd still be on track to have this done probably by October or November.
So if you got aggressive and this HVAC can live until October and you get a few quotes and now you find one for 13 or 14 instead of 18, well, now we're cooking with gas, quite literally.
Yeah. Okay.
So I would look into all of those options. And as a worst case scenario, I think you sell the van and figure it out. If you need to cover if it becomes a true emergency where, hey, this thing's out and we're freezing, we're to whatever it is, that becomes sort of your scapegoat to get out of this thing. And we'll figure out the car. Borrow from family, rent one for a little while, whatever we got to do to get by. But do not go take out a $20,000 loan because some salesman said the price is going up next year.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
That's a classic tactic, and he might be right. But I'd rather you spend $3,000 more than go into all this debt and go backwards. So you guys are working hard. Keep working the plan. It works. Pause the steps if you have to. Cover the emergency, and you'll be back on the horse in no time. This is the Ramsey Show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. The number to call is 888-825-5225. Well, Jade, as we like to do, we try to stay hip. We try to keep our finger on the pulse.
That's right.
And this headline got me that we saw. The era of no-show fees is here, and it's going to cost you. So this is kind of coming out of this crazy tipping culture.
Yes.
And now there's a fee culture, and that includes the no-show fee.
Yeah, it's basically you set up an appointment, and if you don't show up, you get charged, right? So it says we all have that friend who texts to say he or she is running late after you were already supposed to be there. So now businesses have a way of putting those flakes in their place, and they're charging people for not showing up. So if you're getting a haircut, if you're used to kind of a low-tech operation, then these people can say, no, if you don't show up for your haircut appointment, we can charge you a fee. I know when I get my nails done, they'll make you put a deposit up front.
Oh,
and then if you don't show up for the appointment, they keep the deposit.
That's the new thing is they go, hey, you got to put a card on file, and if you don't show, we're going to charge you. And one barber in California charges customers up to $100, double the price of a normal haircut for missing an appointment.
And on one hand, George, I get it because you're not just paying for a service, you're paying for their time. Like there's a time element there. And I remember when I used to teach lessons, it's so frustrating. The way I had it set up, it was like, hey, after you do your lesson, you pay me. And then I started noticing, people would easily be like, oh, I can't make it. My grandma was late, or I had to pick up the dog from the groomer. And it's like, okay. So then I started making people pay up front. And it's like, if you miss your lesson, that money is mine.
You don't get it back.
You don't get it back.
Yep.
And so,
which is fair for like a small business owner, a solopreneur. Yeah. Your time is money, especially something that you're trading time for money, like a lesson, an appointment, a personal service.
That's right.
So I can understand, a no-show fee for that.
But George, here's my question, and I want to know what the audience thinks about this. Can it be flip-flopped? Like, can it go on both sides? Because here's my thing. If I set the doctor's appointment for 2:00, and they say, okay, Jade, and also show up at 1:45 so you can do the paperwork. And if I show up at 1:45 and you don't see me until 2:45, can I get a refund on my time?
That would change the game.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially in the healthcare world, this happens a lot.
Yeah, look, they're clapping. They're like,
the
yes,
dentist's
Jade.
office, the doctor's office. I'm like, hold on. Why is your time worth something but mine isn't? You made me wait 45 minutes.
Even the repair people, they give you that crazy window. They say, whoa, the HVAC guy will show up sometime between 1 and 4 p.m.
Or the internet guy is like, I'll be there sometime between 8 and 5.
You take off work. You take off time from work, and then they're like, oh, our technician couldn't make it out there. couldn't make it out there. What are you, like, can I get a refund? Can I get some dollars off for my time? That's all I'm saying.
Can I give you a life hack?
What?
I don't know that it's fully ethical, so let me just put that caveat out there. But I use a service, this is not a sponsor, they're called privacy.com, and it's a way to create virtual debit cards.
Okay.
So sometimes what I'll do, if I'm uncomfortable putting my card info in, but they require it, I'll go make a virtual debit card, and then you can set limits. So it can say, hey, if it charges over $1, decline it.
But does it do it on the spot? So
it'll give me a new card number, a new expiration date, 3 digits, all that. I input that.
Yes.
And I can set a limit on that card to say, don't let any transactions through it are over $1. And so it'll get declined if someone tried to run that.
Got
for
it.
$40.
So you're hacking the system.
So that's, do what you will with that information. It's none of my business. But to be fair, I had to cancel a haircut this week and get it rescheduled for today.
Yeah.
If you can tell, America.
It looks good.
And my barber, because we have a relationship, I've been with this guy for many, many years. He was kind enough to not charge the cancellation fee. And because I pay cash, he said, well, if you had a card on file, it would have charged you.
Yeah.
And I went, well, I don't have a card on file because I'm a cash guy. And he went, dang it, foiled again.
So, I think the key here is it's got to go both ways.
Yes.
And maybe just like you said, a little bit of a little human nature to this.
And sometimes it's kind of the nature of the beast. You pay the fee and go, yep, that was on me.
Yeah, it says cancellation fees started taking off in 2020 because the businesses were being so hit so hard by COVID. It kind of was like, this is a way that we can make sure we're not losing money hand over fist.
Yeah, you got to see both sides here. And I think there is a lack of commitment in today's world, and we're so scattered, we're so busy, and we're so focused on ourselves that it can affect. You got to think about how this affects other people.
Well, and your business too, because it says that customers are actually resenting paying the services for fees that they don't receive. Like there can be a resentment that it's like, oh man, every time, I really did have something that came up with my kids, and this guy's been cutting my hair for years, and now he's going to charge me. So it can build a resentment, or even if you're the customer and the technician doesn't show up, and it's like, I think the takeaway here is show up on time, have grace.
Yeah.
When people have things that pop up.
I think that's the situation. Have some grace on both sides. If you're the business owner, if you're the person, have some grace, be understanding, but also be a person of commitment.
Yeah.
Of character.
And if you can dish it out, you better be able to take it. If you're going to dish those fees, I'm going to ask for my money back. You just give me a discount code and we'll call it square.
I fight every cancellation fee. I can count on one finger how many times I've paid one of those bad boys. So there you go. That was fun. Josh is up next in Dayton, Ohio. What is happening, Josh?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. How are you?
Doing well. Hey, so my question is, I just started listening to your show about a week ago. Someone recommended it to me. Cool. I was talking about getting out of debt, and I've been listening to it religiously. So I have about $22,000 in consumer debt, and I kind of already have the first baby step done. I have $5,000 saved up, and I was usually saving $800 a month. Now I'm applying that $800 to all my debt. I'm going to start with my highest credit card, and then I'm going to work my way down. And I kind of have it set up that it's going to be about 18 months, and I'll be debt-free, except for my mortgage. I'm just kind of looking for some more pointers to see if I missed something. This is your guys' career, and I'm just kind of hoping.
It's just the $22,000? It's just the $22,000 of debt?
Right.
And it's all credit cards?
So I got 4 credit cards. I have a car note, and then I have some student loans that are lingering.
How much is the car note?
I owe $5,600 on it.
Okay, $5,600. Okay, and that's part of the $22,000. And then you told me you have $5,000 set aside. So if we're walking through the baby steps real quick for you and any other new listener, first baby step is you keep $1,000 saved, or you get $1,000 saved. And then anything beyond that goes to baby step 2, which is paying off all of your debt using the debt snowball, which is what you alluded to. You list them smallest to largest.
Now, you said you were paying the highest card first. You got to pay the smallest balance first while making minimums on the rest.
Well, I meant the highest APR. So my smallest balance happens to be a 31.49 APR.
So let's reverse that.
That one off.
Let's reverse that. So the way we teach is in the debt snowball, you list them by balance, smallest to largest, and you pay the smallest balance first. And the reason we do that is because it's psychological. Like, you want to get those quick wins, and you want to keep going. And in the end, any interest is negligible, honestly.
And you said that happens to be the highest interest, that smallest balance?
Yes.
Okay. So that's just a coincidence there. Okay, so you're attacking that.
Yeah.
If you used $4,000 of your $5,000 to knock down the debt, you'd be down to $18,000. And you said you're able to put $800 a month right now toward it?
Right, correct.
Okay. How do we make more? How do we create more margin so you can put $1,000 toward it, $1,200 toward it?
I have 2 kids and a house payment, and my wife, she's getting ready to go through school. So, I mean, the budget's real tight. Anyways, I just downloaded the EveryDollar app, and I put it all in there, and I thought I had a lot more expendable money. It turns out I don't. I don't know how I was making it this far.
What's your income?
I make about net. I make $970 a week. So at the end of the year, it's about $60,000 or $50,000.
What's your paycheck look like every month? What's it say in $EveryDollar that you bring home?
I bring home right now. I'm getting a raise here starting June, but it's $970
per week
a month. So I think it's a week. So a month it's $3,880.
$3,880. Okay, and the wife's not working. She's home with the kids.
No, she's working. She's a server at a restaurant.
Will she continue that while in school?
Yes, she is, and that's why I'm trying to get out of debt too. So that way, if she's starting to struggle, I can kind of do my husbandly duty and take care of it.
Okay. Well, the key here is margin. You got to cut all the expenses you can, make as much as you can. That's going to speed up this whole process. 18 months to pay off 22. I think we can do better than that. It just feels like too long. It's not that much debt comparatively, and so I want to see you knock this out fast. So hang on the line. I'm going to send you FPU, Financial Peace University, along with EveryDollar to help you gain some tools, and you can go through this with your wife. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. I'm George Kamel, joined by Jade Warshaw. You've heard us talk about EveryDollar on the show today, and if you're wondering what the heck that is our budgeting app that our team created to help you make the most of your money and actually hit your money goals. And so EveryDollar is an app that makes it super simple to plan your spending, track your expenses, save for what matters to you, and it's all in a easy-to-use app. Both people, if you're married, both spouses can be logged into this and have that transparency and accountability. Helps you keep a pulse on your spending. So it's not for broke people. It's not for rich people. It's not for nerds or accountants. Budgets are for people who want to win with money. It's
I always
that simple.
say budgets are like toothbrushes. Everybody needs one.
I like that. If you don't got one,
it's ratchet.
Oof.
It's funky.
It does get funky if you're not budgeting. So download EveryDollar for free in the App Store or Google Play today and thank us later. All right, Gunnar is in St. Louis. Gunnar, what's happening?
Hey, what's happening?
How can we help
hear
today?
Me okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
Awesome, fantastic. All right, so I guess I'll just jump right into the question. So I was online and I found several different debit cards that you can get a 1% return on, depending on however much money you spend. And I was curious if you think this might be a good alternative to credit cards, because you can get the rewards, but you can also avoid going into debt.
I mean,
is it a better alternative to credit cards? Absolutely. Is it worth your time and effort and money? That's debatable.
1%.
I don't have a cashback debit card, if it tells you anything. And here's the reason. Just mathematics. And so I wouldn't get the card because of the cashback. If it happens to be a thing, for example, I got a Costco membership and I got the executive membership. That's the kind of guy I am. And they give you like 2% cashback. And so if you're doing the math on that, you're going, okay, for every $10,000 I spend, they're going to give me $200.
That's what I'm saying. That's nothing to get excited about.
And for how much I actually put on my debit card, Gunner, I'm not spending, $50,000 a year, $100,000 a year on my debit card. And so I don't think the cash back would be worth it. But if you're going to do it, do not let the cash back sway you in any way.
Well, there is a negative side to that. And I think there is a piece psychologically that if you think if I spend more, I get some sort of reward in quotes. I think we already know that when people use plastic over cash, they do spend more. And that goes up when it's a credit card versus a debit card. But I do think there's something around that is like, okay, if there's somewhere floating around in your psyche that the more you spend, the more, like I said, quote, reward you get, I don't like that. And so like George said, if it happens to be there and it's like, oh, I got a little money back, who cares? But I wouldn't go out of my way to select that because, like you said, that 1% to 2%, it's not breaking anybody free financially. Like it's not the holy grail to financial peace. So,
what do you think, Gunnar?
No, certainly that makes sense. Yeah, that all makes sense.
I'm not against this. I just don't think the benefit's really not there. Especially 1% is negligible when you're talking about let's say you have $3,000 of expenses you could put on the card. That's $36,000. So when you start doing the math on this, you're like, okay, I'm going to spend $36,000 in order to get $360.
Whoop-de-whoop.
Okay. Is that going to change my life? No, because if you're making good money, I can find $360 in a single month if I'm just intentional about it. And so that's the key. If you're budgeting already and you're not spending any more, that's always the argument with credit cards that I hear, Jade, is I don't spend any more than I would have with a debit card.
No, that's trickery. That's not true.
That's a lie from the pit of hell. I don't buy that for a second. So I like the spirit of the question, Gunnar. I don't think, the biggest part is you can't spend more than you have with a debit card. So you have a built-in fail-safe. So if you want to do it, go for it. But again, I don't think it's going to be worth the time and energy.
Agree.
Or switching banks and debit cards and all of that. So it's a good question, though. We're seeing more of these cashback debit cards pop up.
Yeah, I'm like you, George. I don't think it's a bad thing or a negative thing. I think sometimes people, to your point, they don't really do the math and they think, oh, this is something I'm getting. And it says it's a reward and it says it's a prize. And I think sometimes it can make people go, well, I get the cash back. I'll just go ahead and buy it. I get the cash back, whether credit or debit. And I'm like, wait a second. Be like George and do the math, and then you'll think twice about buying those.
Thank you, Jay. Be like George. That's what America needs right now.
Like George.
Be like Mike, be like George. All right, William is in Iowa City up next. William, welcome to the Ramsey Show.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure. How can we help?
So I have a couple of investment accounts. One of them has about $18,000 in it, and the other one has about $14,000 in it. I have one of them kind of earmarked as our 3 to 6 months of expenses for the emergency fund. We also have 2 car payments right now. One of them's pretty low, and the other one is a decent amount, but I get a vehicle allowance from work. And I guess my question is, would it make sense to take money out of the other investment account that I don't have really earmarked as an emergency fund to pay off one and a portion of the other vehicle loans?
Are they retirement investments, or are they just a brokerage you have?
Just a brokerage I have. One of them was started for me when I was a baby. Actually, my grandpa started it for me, and then the other one was money that my wife and I saved up, and rather than just kind of having it sitting around as an emergency fund, we asked the investor to put it somewhere where if we needed it, we could get it out within a matter of a day or two. So it's just a regular investment thing.
Well, the emergency fund is insurance, not an investment. So it worries me when anyone puts their emergency fund in something that's volatile. And so if you want your money to grow a little, we're seeing some amazing rates on high yield savings accounts right now of 5%. And so I would absolutely, even for your emergency fund, if you do nothing else, move that money over to an emergency fund.
That's right.
And just let it grow at 5%. It's not there to grow. Again, it's insurance against life happening. And I don't want that to be volatile to where you lose $3,000 and all of a sudden you have an emergency and it hurts then to use that money.
What do you owe on these 2 cars?
So on my wife's vehicle, we owe about $9,000, and on my vehicle, it's probably $25,000.
And that's the one that you're using a credit for or an allowance from your job?
Yes.
Do you get the allowance regardless
of the vehicle? Yes, you get the allowance regardless, and actually the vehicle allowance covers my payment and my wife's car payment. The allowance covers both the amount that I get.
If you get it regardless, if the vehicles are paid off, even if not, I would pay off both of these vehicles as quickly as possible, and I would liquidate both of these investment funds in order to do that. Because that's walking through what I'm telling you is walking through our baby steps, which is our framework for getting people to financial peace in the fastest, most risk-free way. And so if I were you, I'd say, okay, yeah, I'm going to liquidate both of these. I'm going to pay off the $9,000, and then I'm going to take what's left that I have here, and I'm going to throw it at this $25,000, which is almost enough to clear it. And you're going to be getting those allowances anyway, so you can knock out the rest fairly quickly now that you don't have a car payment. And then in the next 2 months, you're going to be completely car debt free, and then you can take your cash, all those payments that were freed up and the allowance that you have from work, and you can stock up 3 to 6 months of expenses and do what George said, which is throw them in a high yield savings account. And that's going to be the most stable you've ever been with that money.
Got it. So then at that point, we would be debt-free.
That's right.
You will be debt-free.
Ding, ding.
Think about this. You have 32 in investments. I don't know what you will owe in taxes on the capital gains of the investments, but let's pretend it's zero right now. And $32,000 minus your wife's car, minus 22 that we could still throw at it, leaves you with $1,000 left over for your starter emergency fund. Well, now you only got $3,000 left on that car. And with your allowance and a freed up payment from your wife's car, plus your income, you're going to knock out $3,000 in what, a month or two?
Yeah, that's easy.
Boom. So we're talking about 2 months from now, you're completely debt free. Then we can restock the emergency fund inside of a high yield savings account, probably over the next 5 or 6 months. And now we're cooking with gas. Now we can get back to investing with intentionality and start investing 15% of our income. What's your income household?
Right around 125, 130.
Yeah. Woo! You guys are going to be baby steps millionaires in no time.
Get this. In 1 year, 15% of 130 is 19.5. That's more than you have in that investment account. And so I have full faith you'll be back to investing in no time. You're going to build wealth. But I think we've been doing a lot of good things at once, trying to pay off debt, trying to save, trying to invest. But when you do it with focused intensity, you get this amazing thing called progress. And that's the power of the baby steps. So thank you for the call. I hope you do what we said. It will work every time you work it, man. This is The Ramsey Show. Welcome back to The Ramsey Show. Our scripture of the day, Proverbs 31:31. Honor her for all that her hands have done, and let her works bring her praise at the city gate. What a beautiful verse in honor of Mother's Day this weekend.
Oh, I thought you were reading that for Whitney.
I was, but I didn't choose this verse. The team did a great job reminding us all that it's Mother's Day on Sunday, so do all the things. Forget? Get her the pancakes in bed and the flowers and the card and the gift.
Is it bad that sometimes on Mother's Day I just want to be alone?
There was a great skit I just saw where it was the best gift you can give mom is 24 hours alone at the bottom of a well. Just let her do her thing.
Man, give me a
just
day.
Peace and quiet.
A bath, a hot bath. Like leave breakfast by the door. Y'all go away.
You go. Oh, that's smart. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take our 8-month-old and just be gone. Take the dogs, be gone.
The mothers know. They said amen with me.
Lauryn Hill once said that strong mother doesn't tell her cub, son, stay weak so the wolves can get you. She says, toughen up. This is reality we're living in.
Ooh,
strong words.
That's strong.
Strong words from Lauryn Hill right there.
She's right.
Sometimes you need a little Proverbs and Lauryn Hill in your life. That's all I'm saying. That's good. All right, Brittany is up next in Denver, Colorado. Brittany, welcome to the show.
Hello.
How can we help today?
I'm calling because I've been very illiterate with the financial literacy, and I feel like I have 6 children. I have 4 small toddlers. So now I'm just trying to take... I am really trying to get on track, and I'm trying to learn how to budget. And I'm on like a housing program, so I pay very little rent. I have no debt, and I'm just trying to see where is all my money going.
Well, I'm surprised you got some peace and quiet to make this phone call. You're impressive.
In the car.
Did you say you have no debt?
I have none.
Okay, excellent.
I paid off all my debt, I think, in 2020.
Come on. Way to go. Way to go.
And are you single momming it? Is dad in the picture?
I'm a single mother.
Okay, of 6.
And is there child support coming in?
No.
Why not?
We don't know where the father is. We separated and he went about his way, and I just,
And there's no court that can find him.
Well, we have a court order. He just doesn't pay. So I'm hoping soon that we'll get some compensation.
And no wages to garnish, I'm guessing.
Nope.
Girlfriend. Okay. So what's the nature of your question? You're here, you're no debt, you've been supporting these 6 kids on your own. In my book, like superwoman. So how can we help?
Well, I do have debt. I just have like a car. I guess I say that.
Whoa. Hold the phone, Brittany. You told us you were debt-free. We got to start this relationship off with truth and honesty.
Debt is money you owe to anyone for any reason.
I looked at my notes, and I have it circled. I forgot it. My car is my only debt.
What's left on the car?
I think I just bought it last year, so it's still fairly fresh. And I think it's about 14, maybe 15 grand.
Left on the loan?
Yeah.
Could have been worse.
What do you make a year?
Last year was about 45 to 50,000.
Okay, good. What's the child care situation like for the 6 kids?
Oh, they're all in school full time, so I'm pretty free, but it's just I don't know where my money's going.
Okay, so you're making 50 grand. Your rent is low.
All the kids are kindergarten and above? I thought you said you had toddlers.
They're all kindergartners. They're preschool, 3 pre-K and 1 kindergartner. A teenager, he's 16, and I have one that's graduating college next year.
Okay, good.
Cool. So your next goal, if you're following the baby steps, would be to get rid of this car loan aggressively.
Okay.
Do you have any money in savings?
No, I just exuded all of that because I wasn't working for 3 months, and now I'm getting back into a job, and the job that I'm getting into pays a little bit less hourly, but I can compensate that with, like, working extra shifts or something. But I'm just trying to figure out how to budget the money that I'm going to have coming in.
So do you have EveryDollar? Do you have the EveryDollar app?
I have the app, but I was running into issues that I was not, it just was, I couldn't keep up with it.
What do you mean?
Yes, I do have the app.
What do you mean you couldn't keep up with it?
With, like, putting the expenses and all the little categories and with all the kids. So I just really couldn't keep up with it.
So once let's see if we can identify this problem. So with EveryDollar, once you set the budget, like once you go in, you put your checks in there in the income section, you put your you put your expenses, everything you can think to spend money on, it's pretty much set. And then as each month goes, there's a button on the bottom that you can click that says copy this budget to next month. So you shouldn't be restarting every single month. You should be having that baseline of, hey, this is basically my life. And each month I go in and make the small tweaks and changes that have to do with that month. So that's thing number 1. And then thing number 2 is, if that's not the problem, then it sounds like you've just not set up the habit of kind of going in there and tracking your transactions when they pop in. Is that right? It sounds like you might need the premium version.
Okay.
So what I want is, I can't see who's manning the phones over there, but they're going to pick up, and I want to make sure you get the premium version of EveryDollar, at least a free trial of it for you to check it out, because it does a lot of that automatically for you.
That'll help us process.
Okay, and another question I wanted to ask is because I'm on the Section 8 housing program, and they help you buy a house. But in Colorado, with the housing market so high, I don't know if that's a good idea.
It's not a good idea.
Let's define what they mean by help. They're going to help you get into a house with nothing down, with a mortgage that you can't handle.
Yeah.
And so the right time to buy a house is when you're financially ready, not when the right home buyers program comes along. And there's so many strings attached to these programs, Brittany, and I want you to be in control of your life instead of having to, be controlled by someone else.
And they also utilize the money to start a business. So I wanted to start a group home for, I'm a CNA, so I'm into caregiving. So I wanted to take the money to maybe start a business to have income before I go purchase a personal home.
We got to take it one thing at a time. Let's look at it one thing at a time. A1 is we're paying off this $15,000 car. Your A1 right now is the baby steps. So number 1 is you don't have $1,000 saved. So we need to find $1,000 quickly.
Which you have next paycheck.
Yeah, most people get it in 30 days. So put that $1,000 aside. Then very quickly, we're paying off this $15,000 car as quickly as possible. If you can pick up extra hours, I don't know if you can or not with the way your life is set up. But pay that $15,000 off quickly, because then your next goal is you got to save 6 months of expenses. And for you, it needs to be 6 months of expenses
with
because
6
it's
kids,
just you and you've got 6
happen.
kids. And then after that, you're going to begin investing. Okay. And so these are your goals. homeownership is not there yet. It might be there after baby step 3. If you feel good about your situation, if you feel good about where the kids are going, they're going off to college, like all that stuff. But what you're going to find is the more you're going to begin to work these baby steps, the more money you're going to want to earn. And the more money you earn, you're going to be off Section 8 housing.
Okay.
So that's the first goal. And being off Section 8 housing doesn't necessarily mean that you went and bought a place. It just means that you can afford rent on your own where you want to live. And I think that's pretty amazing. So that's the goal.
Brittany, what is your take-home pay every month?
Probably. I think my last job I was making $1,700 a week every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks. So you got about $3,400 coming in. And what are your actual monthly expenses? What does that add up to?
$1,600.
So you're telling me that there should be $1,800 left over that you can do whatever you want with.
Yeah.
Ah.
Ding, ding.
Well, all of a sudden, you got $1,000 saved up with your next paycheck. And all of a sudden, you got...
I could save $1,000.
And once you have $1,000, you now have $1,800. Think about this. $1,800 times, let's call it 8 months, would get your car paid off.
I love that.
If you stick to the budget.
All right. Okay.
So 8 months from now, that car is paid off. Now the next probably 5 or 6 months will go toward building the emergency fund. Then we can begin investing. You're not investing right now through your employer, right?
Sometimes, and I invest on my own sometimes because I do like private contract work. So like this weekend, I'll go to work and make like $900. But
that needs to go toward your debt. Let's pause all investing. You're doing a lot of great things at once, but the problem is you're not going to make progress by doing that. And
focus on one thing at a time.
Yeah, you are in survival mode, and we want to get you out of that cycle. That's how you find freedom. So hang on the line. We're going to send you EveryDollar Premium. I'm also going to send you my book, Breaking Free from Broke, to help you gain some confidence and hope that things aren't going to be this way for much longer. Thank you so much for the call. That puts this hour of The Ramsey Show in the books. Thank you to Jade Warshaw, all the folks in the booth, and you, America. We'll be back before you know it.